already know what time it is, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another random recap. If you've been around my channel before, you would know a couple months back I did grading your NFL hot takes. We're 9 weeks in the NFL and I had the idea to do mid-season takes, but of course since the mid-season you're not going to come up with some of the best takes. So instead what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to the comments I used in that video and I'm going to grade them now since it is mid-season. So in the video we have 4 grades. We have ice cold as in why is this a hot take? You know, I could see this happening 100%. It's like saying I'm going to walk down the street and I'm going to look up in the sun. That's not a hot take. You know, that's pretty damn ice cold. Then we have pretty green, which is basically kind of like ice cold, except, you know, you kind of can argue it. And then we have mildly hot. It's not that too hot of a hot take, but it still is pretty spicy. And then we have hot as hell. You ever heard the statement, no chance in hell? Well, that's exactly what hot as hell means. Fucking impossible. Alright, now that that is explained, all I do ask is if you are new here, please subscribe. It does help the channel out and get my name out there more. But anyways, with all that being said, let's get into regrading your off-season hot takes. Alright, so for the first hot take I will be revisiting, we have Nobunaga for Tyler Shough, best rookie quarterback in this year's draft. Well, wasn't that a great way to waste a second rounder, wasn't it? Yes, let's draft a quarterback to only not play him and then draft both of their replacements next year. It took them 8 weeks. 8! To finally put the poor son of a bitch in. Best rookie quarterback in the draft. I don't know who was smoking more, you or the front office that drafted him. How they took him in the second round and still had the audacity to tell the guy, well, yeah, you kind of fucking suck, right in his face with the starting of Spencer Rattler, who really honestly has not been all that bad, completely honest, outside the last 2-3 weeks maybe. But it's still an insult to injury when you consider one's a 5th rounder, who was supposed to be a bridge backup player to get us from point A to point B for the next guy. And you were supposed to be that guy. I just find it odd because, you know, you're gonna suck. Why not give the guy the year anyways? But again, it's the Saints. I ain't questioning anything they do. So now it's week 8, which, fun fact, they still can't name a starter for week 9. So there's still a chance Shough goes right back in the cuck chair to watch Rattler get all the action. Like I said originally in the offseason of my first hot take video, even if he was special and could stay healthy because we know he has a history of that, this team is not the best place for a project quarterback. The Saints suck. It's the cold, hard truth. So with Shough, it's a mystery on his development how he's really going to look once he gets his official start, and not the sloppy seconds of a blowout. So, because we've seen very little, this take remains stupidly hot. And also, when you compare Shough's highlights of sitting on the bench and holding a clipboard to Jackson Dart and Cam Ward, I mean, Sanders might even do something before he does. So taking all that into a factor, this take is hot as hell. So hot, I'm gonna give it its own special grade. So hot, I might fall in love with it. Alright, now we revisit hot take number 2. Purple Kool-Aid said, Jets go 10-7, upset a team like Baltimore or Buffalo in the wild card while beating the Chiefs in the second round, and get this, but lose to Baltimore or Buffalo in the AFC Championship. Man, looking back at this one is hilarious. Not only because I read this comment incorrectly in my first video, which I do apologize, but the concept of the take itself. Jets go 10-7. Funniest part about this is you could ditch the rest of the comment and just stop it here at 10-7. 10-7! As of right now, the Jets stand at 1-7 after winning against the Bengals in what looks to be their most complete performance yet since week 1, where since week 1 they have been completely shit week in and week out. I mean, for a minute there, you could have convinced me they were going 0-17 and I would have believed you. But since they got the win off this lucky-ass miracle that is the Bengals choking, I had to treat this hot take like a possible reality rather than clowning it. They have 9 games left. 9. So as Justin Bieber once said, never say never. Although you probably have a better chance of getting hit by lightning twice and surviving than they do getting more than 5 wins entirely, let alone the fucking playoffs. Like, looking at this schedule based on what I know and what we've seen the Jets look like, I count 4 wins barely. I still don't believe in Fields. Breece Hall's probably gonna get traded. O-line is dog shit. The 4 wins topped. But as this year has proven to me already, as seen by the Colts, anything is possible. Looking at the rest of your comment, this one sure as hell aged like fine ass wine, because the Ravens ain't touching shit either. So both of you will be on the shores in Cancun come playoff time. I'm gonna grade this take once again hot as hell. Alright, now we look back at hot take number 3 from the preseason. PT3118 says, Shedeur Sanders somehow manages to escape the Cleveland Browns. This went from maybe, just maybe the Browns will love the guy once they finally got to see him play in the preseason, to I'm convinced they actually hate the fucking guy. I don't know who or what he did, but the fact that Dillon Gabriel has looked like shit and their third best option is Bailey Zapp tells me plenty. Hell, at this rate, I'm gonna get the start before they even question, should we actually use Sanders? Why draft a guy if he's only going to be used to hold someone's coffee? Play him! The sabotage is just unreal with this one. I mean, either trade the poor guy or just play him. There is no in between. Season's already cooked. The fuck else y'all gotta see out of Gabriel to know this Hawaiian Oompa Loompa is nothing more than a backup at best? And no, I'm not saying Sanders will be the answer. Sanders is elite. But how the hell are you supposed to find out what he's made of if his cleats stay clean all year long? And again, do not get me started on Zapp, who you already had last year and know he couldn't hit a target the size of Lizzo. So again, what's it gonna be? I stand on my ground and say give Sanders a try. We've seen Gabriel, we've had enough. Might as well make this year entertaining. If there's one thing Sanders at least knows how to do, it's to be an entertainer. I mean, if you know you're going down anyways, you might as well go down in style. Anyways, sadly though, the most realistic answer here I can provide you is he's not gonna start for the Browns. They continue to lose. They're gonna draft somebody next year like Ty Simpson come draft day, and Sanders will be traded either before the offseason, right after preseason, might not even make it the next week with talks to the Jets taking a liking to him. So to answer your hot take, I'm gonna say ice cold. I don't think he'll somehow manage to escape, but rather be sent out on a plane with his bags. It's clear they don't want him, and there are teams desperate enough to make the trade. So it won't be him escaping the Browns, but the Browns escaping the Sanders talk and controversy. Ice cold. Alright, the next hot take we have from the preseason was Gavin567 saying Caleb Williams becomes the first Bear to pass for 4,000 yards. At the time of this recording, Williams currently has 1,636 passing yards and averages about 200 apiece. This take says he goes for 4,000. Last year, 8 games in, he had about 1,665. So I would say he's about around the same pace where he fell by 500 yards last year. Anyways, with 9 games remaining, and that's not mentioning if they make the playoffs, keyword if, but let's say they don't, with 9 games left to hit 4,000, he needs 2,364 yards. And to get that, he would need to average 262 yards a game minimum. Not saying he doesn't throw for like 300 against someone like Cleveland, but 262 a game will do it and will get him around that number. So I say it's possible and he is on pace unless he has a fucking meltdown like he did last season. Started off strong and then he played teams like Seahawks, Packers, Niners, even Minnesota. All of those games he would fall under 200 yards by a lot. I think the lowest he threw was like 120 against one of them. My point is, if he could remain strong and consistent with his pass game, which he already isn't, I'm sure it can happen easily. But just in case he does choke like the fruit cup he is, I'm gonna drag this grade from ice cold to pretty green. Alright, and following that hot take, we have one from SGA the GOAT. Caleb Williams does not have a breakout year, and him and the Bears is a whole flop in the new system. See, now, I can agree with one half of the question. Do I think Caleb Williams is their guy? Hell no. Look, do not get me wrong, he's alright, but consistency is the real killer here. It looks like somebody you ditch in 3 to 4 years for something bigger and better, which is crazy to say because they just did it with Justin Fields, but he just feels like another one of that case. It's tough, but it's the truth. He's somebody you'll look back to talk about when he's somewhere like Vegas. To me, he just shows more concerns than certainties. If he showed somebody footage of him versus Daniels versus Maye, they'd all assume, oh, he went behind those two, right? Daniels is much better and Maye's a pure stud. Caleb's good, but he's yet to show me he's Chicago's answer, let alone one of the better quarterbacks in the league. That breakout year, I and a lot of others thought he was gonna have to try and change the narrative that he deserved to be the first overall pick, started pretty solid, but the more the season goes on, it's like he takes more steps back than he does forward. It's just frustrating at times. I mean, things like its accuracy and decision making, it's just shit that gets me and plenty of others riled up. Like all the improvement we've seen out of the others that we should have been seeing out of him, we still don't have it. Nothing really impressive this year besides maybe the Cowboys' ass whooping. So to answer your first half of this take, Caleb does not have a breakout year. I'm giving it that ice cold. I don't think he's done anything breakout worthy so far and probably won't for the rest of the season. Now, turning to the Bears flopping as a whole part of your take, with Van Johnson, I'll say this. The offense has improved, receivers are getting open, run game looks much better than it did last year, O-line looks better overall. Yes, they do struggle in the red zone when it comes to scoring, which is a large concern, but overall the offense looks much better when you compare it to last year. Then you turn to the defense, where given the injuries, the defense has just taken advantage of every opportunity they get and appear much more competent than they have in a long time. 7 games in, and they do have a winning record. So I can't say they're flopping as a whole, but for the new system Ben Johnson promised when taking over, he's doing a pretty damn good job. Because without him, I can't say they have the same record. So for this take, I'm going to give it pretty green. Compared last year to this season, it's as different as night and day. I think Ben's doing a great job, and they'd probably be a lot better if his quarterback wasn't such a tool. Pretty green take. Next hot take we had from the offseason was by Joe Burrow, 1811. The Bengals defense improves by a lot, and they win the Super Bowl. Unless your hot take applies to Madden and Madden only, this one aged horribly. I originally said it was a hot take just because I didn't trust his defense, but I never ruled it impossible, because with Joe Burrow, it is never such thing as impossible. Him and his offense, I mean, they've shown they can do it all just by themselves. Hell, as long as they were able to get a playoff spot, everything after that just depends on who they play. But now looking at it mid-season, now it's practically impossible. Sure, they still have Joe dishing it out to Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, but it's the Joe who's not gonna do shit other than game manage well enough just to make sure you don't lose by 40. He'll keep you in the game, but I can't promise he'll win it either. So for that Super Bowl part, sure as hell is not happening. Oh, and as for the defense, they just let the Jets, out of every team in the NFL, put 23 on their ass in a single quarter. If that doesn't answer your hot take, then I don't know what will. I mean, the defense has its moments every now and then, like the Steelers game, but it still blows. They're not getting to a Super Bowl, let alone getting to a winning record. So I'm going to leave my grade as it was in the offseason. Hot as hell. The next hot take we had in the offseason comes from Sawyer Lampkin's Football 9. Not a hot take, but kinda is. Joe Burrow leads the Bengals past the Ravens to win the division MVP. Man, don't you just hate it whenever you have a hot take and it absolutely falls apart? Like, what if I told you in the offseason the Steelers were going to be the best team in the North, the Ravens would be fighting with the Browns not to be last place, and the Bengals would be going nowhere? You would call me fucking stupid. But 8 weeks in, and that's exactly what's happening. The Ravens are 2-5. Bengals 3-5. No Burrow, no Lamar, both are out. Neither one of them are in MVP talks, and probably won't be at all this year when they return. So this hot take went from green with a slight chance of being true, depending how Burrow and the Bengals look, same with the Ravens, to not a chance in hell for either one. I mean, in one way, you're technically right, though. A guy named Joe is leading the Bengals past the Ravens in the division. You know, just without the winning part. So there's that, I suppose, but yeah, this comment aged horribly for both teams. All-season grade goes from mildly hot to mildly not, with the mid-season grade of hot as hell. Next off-season hot take comes from Bradley YT. Drake Maye takes a jump and becomes the best second-year quarterback. You know, Bradley, I like my drinks how I like my hot takes. Cold as hell. This one's way too easy of a take. Originally, I gave it pretty green just because I didn't know how Daniels was gonna look when you say best out of all the quarterbacks from last year's class, but 1 year later, it's looking pretty damn good. Daniels hasn't really had that interesting of a season so far outside when he is playing and not injured. Caleb flat out blows when he compared the two in their years so far. Penix looks good, but I still want to take him over Drake Maye. JJ McHandoff can't stay healthy, and really Nix has been about the only competition Maye's had, but remains to be inconsistent at times and still has his concerns, whereas Maye is a damn MVP candidate. And honestly looks to be one of the best quarterbacks entirely out of the league through week 8. Not to mention even having the Patriots on a path to possibly the playoffs. Yeah, I think this take aged wonderfully. I gave it pretty green in the offseason, but I'm gonna change this one to ice cold. Alright, next up from the offseason, we have 2 takes from Nacua. Broncos could be contenders to win the AFC West and make a playoff run. And the Panthers can win 10 to 11 games if Bryce Young plays good and the O-line doesn't suck. Let me break this one down quick. So here's take number 1. Broncos win the AFC West and make a playoff run. 8 weeks in, they're first in the AFC West. That says it alone. You know, they got a 6-2 record. 85% chance of making the playoffs. I think this one looks really damn good. I mean, for the division part, I'm going to give you pretty green. I think they have what it takes to hold control on the West and finish as champions, but there's still a slight chance Chargers or even my Chiefs do eventually take the crown back. So really, it's a division still far from being decided. We got lots of football left and it is fully up for grabs. So I'm going to give that pretty green. And for your playoff run take, it is so cold my nipples could cut through glass. That's a no-brainer. And if they don't make the playoffs after their strong start to the year, then every single player on this team needs to be investigated by the FBI. Like a downfall. that will put them out of the playoffs after week 8. The way they look, man, that would need to be studied. But as of now, I don't see how they want to make the playoffs. Ice cold. And now for your second take. Panthers win 10 to 11 games. See, I gave you pretty green originally. But 8 weeks in, and it's set at 4-4. So now I'm kind of scratching my chin here the way I look at it. You know, I'm not saying it's impossible, but I can't say I see it either. 7 wins? Sure. Guaranteed. 10? Now you're asking the big questions. I see them beat New Orleans. Tampa? No. Rams? No. Falcons? Maybe. I mean, you know damn well they're pissed about the last shutout. Green Bay? Hell no. San Francisco depends on how the defense holds up. Seattle? Big hell no. So yeah, it's doable, but with their schedule looking like how it does, I'm not completely all confident to say pretty green anymore. I'm gonna change my pick from green to mildly hot. Not hot as hell because upsets can happen at any time, so I'm not rolling out a 10-win record since they only need 6 in the next 9 games, but I don't like it either. I'm really saying I aim somewhere around maybe 7 to 8 wins. That feels a lot more realistic. Either way, I'm giving this comment mildly hot. The next hot take I had in the offseason was Kimmy on a project. Jonathan Gannon cements himself as a top 10 head coach regardless of Kyler's play. Honestly, keeping it a stack with you, 8 weeks in, I ain't even sure the guy's top 15. I mean, he's supposed to be this defensive head-minded coach, but he chokes harder than your average porn star come close games. Then turn to the offense where it is not any better when your quote-unquote franchise quarterback gets outperformed by your backup. I mean, they run one of the most conservative offenses I've seen in a damn minute. So basically, both sides of the field look like an absolute train wreck, and that's still not to mention also the fan base already calling for the guy's head. So ask yourself this, do you really think he's top 10 if his ass is about to be on the way out with his quarterback? When I say Arizona's front office, top to bottom, is getting blown up after this season, I mean every single last person. Even the janitor's getting fired. What the Cardinals have going on is nothing short of a disaster and is a pure embarrassment to the fans. But of course, like most franchises, it all starts at the top with the ownership, which is a large problem for the Cardinals. I can also go on a large rant about this, but we're talking about Gannon, and for him, all I have to say is better luck at the next team. That is, honestly, even gets another chance. I just wonder who the next sorry-ass head coach for the Cardinals will be. Anyways, my thoughts don't change. I'm giving this one hot as hell. Next hot take I had from the offseason was Josh Allen is now... You know, why am I even entertaining this one? Mid-season and nothing has changed. Your comment genuinely hurts my head. How one could sit there and go, you know, I don't think Josh Allen is top 5, and then come up with this as their hot take. My disappointment is immeasurable and my day is ruined. Hot as hell. Next hot take we had in the offseason was by JJ Nettas. Rams win the NFC and Puka gets 1,500 yards. Looking at the NFC right now, it is led by Green Bay, who just broke Rodgers' last hip in an absolute beatdown of a victory. The Eagles are 6-2, Tampa 6-2, with Seattle and Detroit tied with LA at 5-2. So at the moment, it's interesting to see, knowing if the Rams beat the Niners, tied the Niners, or just hypothetically, you know, actually won against the Eagles, they'd be the 2nd seed. That loss versus them and the critical mistakes made in the Eagles game are the reasons why they are not there. They're currently the 6th seed. Now, a lot could change in 2 months. Packers and Eagles, hell, even the Lions, might shit the bed and the Rams might take advantage of it. Or the Rams completely shit the bed. You know, it's vice versa. Because you also have to take injuries into a factor. I mean, anything can happen. There's plenty of football left to be played. So I'm going to avoid touching this one with a 10-foot pole. But what I will say is they look in really good shape, so who knows? So I'm going to view it as there's potential, but realistically, maybe not. I'm going to give this one mildly hot. And then for your second take, Puka gets 1,500 yards. I still absolutely agree with this one. I mean, he was on pace for more than 1,500 until the Ravens game. He'd get hurt there, miss the rest of that game, miss the Jacksonville game where I guaranteed he would have torched that secondary for fucking 120. And now there's concerns he might not even be back for week 9. So there's a chance he misses 3 games in a row, which does suck. So I'm not saying it's impossible. I do like its odds because when he is playing, we all know he is one of the best receivers right now. I just hate the fact that whenever he starts getting hot in the year, here comes an injury to ruin the day. It happened last year, and it happens again this year. Just thankfully, the injury isn't as bad as it was last time. So if we don't get any more interruptions on the season, he's got 10 games to make it work. So there's a pretty good chance he still goes over. But I just have a really bad feeling it's more of a probability of him finishing around 1,200 to 14 instead of 15. But hey, who knows really? It just all depends if he can stay healthy and if Stafford can dish him the ball. This hot take right here should have been an absolute piece of cake, but as with most talented players, injuries are a bitch. So I'm gonna give this one pretty green. I still believe it happens, and I really hope it does. The next comment we have from the offseason was by Dylan Nevers 8017. Not for this season, but by the time Derrick Henry retires, he is the league's all-time leading rusher. Now, I know this one obviously is not for the season, so I can't really say, oh, Derrick Henry got 2,000 yards already, he only needs 4,000 more. I know, he's not gonna be the all-time leading rusher at the moment. I just wanted to do, a mid-season checkup, see how far we're in. So 7 games in, and he has 510 rushing yards. And I'm pretty sure I did the math in the first video, saying for him to be the all-time leading rusher, he would have to rush for 1,200 yards a season minimum, with 1,900 being the max as his first year with the Ravens. So 1,900 would be the best number for the situation, but using the base number of 1,200, which he's on pace if he runs for 76 yards in each of the next 9 games. And even if he does get 1,200, I really cannot say how long he has. Because with the 510 from this year so far, he's right on the edge of cracking 12,000. Which after he's still got about 6,000 more to go. That is just fucking crazy to think about. I mean, all that work just to barely even scrape the record. So as I said in the preseason, I'm saying it here. This take is hot as hell. And trust me, I would love to see him break it more than anybody, trust me. But he's got a better chance of finishing 3rd all-time in rushing touchdowns than he does yards at this point. So I'm still going to give this take hot as hell. Next up, we got a good one from Chris Thompson 3172. J.J. McCarthy will have more passing touchdowns than any other 2024 quarterback. Daniels, Nix, Williams, Maye, Penix Jr. I think J.J. McHandoff has a better chance at finishing in more interceptions than he does touchdowns. Which, by the way, did you know the Vikings ran Wentz into the ground just to avoid showing you McCarthy is not it? I gave him a chance, I really did, and then when he was on the field, he gets hurt, just like he did last year. I was not quick to dog the guy out of college. I held out some optimism and said maybe, just maybe, there's a chance, and even with only having 2 games under his belt, which is crazy, I don't want to say he's ass, but I ain't far off from saying it either. All this talk I had to hear in the offseason from the ridiculous statements they were saying, to them saying he's much better than Sam Darnold, who's killing it in Seattle. All this talk not to even see the guy play, and then when he does, he gets hurt after the slightest touch. But on the field, you know what I saw? I saw a quarterback who looked lost. A quarterback who realized it ain't so easy and he has to do stuff he wasn't asked to do in Michigan, where yes, he was the quarterback that won the national, but he alone was not the reason they got there. He always worried me in the draft. He really did, but I was like, I'll give him the chance to prove me wrong. Because I hate to be the guy who prays on somebody's downfall just to be right. But with it being 2 years now, he's almost missed entirely the first half of his rookie contract with injuries. I'm actually starting to shake my head a bit and question the people who believe him. Because if you ask me, I would have Jordan loved the guy. I would have signed Darnold. I would have had him play 4 years and had McCarthy sit and learn. And if that couldn't have been the case, I would have ditched him or scrapped all plans that had to do with McCarthy once I saw Darnold. And the thing is, I can't even say he's going to get any better without being on the field, because as soon as he touches the damn thing, he gets hurt and he's right back off it. So McCarthy's just an interesting case and a player I have very big concerns about. He comes back this week, but he plays the Lions. God willingly, I don't know how that's going to go. But in the offseason, I gave this one hot as hell, just because I said I didn't think he'd do better than somebody like Daniels or Maye. I gave him the chance, and I said he had potential. Since Darnold looked great, he might look just as good. Now it's like, I don't even think he's going to finish with more passing touchdowns than fucking Spencer Rattler out of all the quarterbacks from last year's draft class. With JJ, he's yet to prove himself. So until he does, I don't hold out high hopes anymore. But to entertain your question, right now, out of all the 2024 quarterbacks, Maye holds the most touchdowns. So unless JJ turns it from 0 to 100 real quick, or starts to insanely stat pad, I don't see him catching anybody out of that class. I'm still going to give this take hot as hell. Alright, for the next preseason hot take, we have by CJ Goated. Joe Burrow is the best quarterback in the league if healthy, and is better than Josh Allen and Mahomes. Wow. Alright, well that's hot. The words if healthy are really starting to gain some weight here, because man, something about injuries and Joe Burrow. Call it a love-hate relationship, the way one fucks the other over, yet they find themselves back together always. We're currently watching Andrew Luck all over again, or at least Matthew Stafford like when he was with the Lions. The only way Burrow's gonna find success and actually stay healthy is if he gets the hell out of Cincinnati. No offense to Bengals fans. But anyways, at this rate, I don't care how good Burrow is, because yes, he is a damn good quarterback. I mean, healthy, he is perhaps one of the best in the league. But it's like when you give me the choice of having Josh Allen or Mahomes over him, I'm taking it. I'm always going to want option 1 or option 2 to his option 3. Put Lamar in the conversation, I might take Lamar at this point. Again, very talented quarterback, very good. But so are the others, and you bet I can rely on him to stay healthy and at least be more durable. At least when you consider Mahomes and Allen like your take says. I love me some Joe Burrow, but those two are clearly better, so I'm going to have to give this one hot as hell. Next hot take we had was from Purple Kool-Aid. Niners go 10-7 and make the playoffs. Doesn't sound like a hot take, but with their schedule, you would expect a better record. Well, looking at my initial reaction to this comment, it is not completely too far off. I said 10-7 was very realistic with a healthy squad, but the irony in the record is half of this is being done with third stringers and a roll of tape. There's practically a new injury every week with this team, literally putting the ER in Niners. This team is banged the fuck up. Yet even with all the injuries, they're currently 5-3, very much on pace to go 10-7, and possibly even better. Crazy ass year we're having, aren't we? Like if I told you Mac Jones was gonna lead this team majority of the season, you would have already assumed the worst. Kid you not, I guess it's a year for redemption stories. From Jones to Indiana Jones, every starting quarterback who once got slandered are turning it around. So thanks to return of the Mac and Christian McCaffrey, this offense is on a roll and this defense is able to hold its own against some of the best teams in the NFL. So as long as they keep it up, I don't see why they couldn't get a winning record in a spot in the playoffs. Ice cold. Next hot take I had was from William Soul 9067. The Jets actually put everything together and finished with a winning record while the Dolphins tanked to the bottom of the AFC East. I cannot believe I actually gave this comment a damn pretty green grade in the offseason. I should have known better, but nope, I clearly didn't. You know, my head's full of sunshine and rainbows the way I assume the best for every team I see. Our field started and actually said, hang on now, him and Wilson might actually be crazy, knowing he's fucking ass, but nope, I held out hope and I regret it because I guarantee someone took my word legitimately and actually thought the Jets were going to be good. So with that, I apologize. Can't believe I actually put the word Jets and winning record in the same sentence. Only time those should come together is when I say, what team doesn't have the chance of a winning record? Oh, the Jets! Preseason wise, this comment didn't look all that bad. Mid-season looking back at this, I'm surprised the comment wasn't deleted. Because my God, are they horrible. 1-7. One win. But I like takes like these, because it lives up to what the video's asking for. Outrageous takes that will age like spoiled milk. Looks good at first, but goes bad real fucking quick. So I'm changing my preseason grade from pretty green to hot as hell. But hey, there's always next year, so whether it's Mendoza, Simpson, Moore, or whoever the hell they stick at quarterback, you can just ask the question again, and it might actually go well this time. And for take number 2, we have the Dolphins being the bottom bitches of the AFC East. Somehow, and I mean somehow, even when this comment looked so good, your Jets take had to ruin it twice. First, the Jets can't get a winning record because they suck, and now the Dolphins can't be at the bottom like your take also says because of the bum-ass Jets. Ironic how it's a team you imagine with a winning record, right? So even with how ass the Dolphins are, the Jets found a way to be even worse. But ignoring the Jets here for a moment, very spot on take right here, because the Dolphins are in fact tanking. Or at least that's what it looks like. Take 4 to a turn 2 tanking with Tua. In the offseason, I said I believe they were going to fall apart, but wouldn't be shocked at all if they had their usual 7-8 win season. But keeping it a buck, I don't even think they're going to win 6 games. Since the season started, it's been nothing but chaos. And as Tua's loudmouth says in interviews, no one wants to play for this damn team. Locker room isn't under control. Daniels is on the hot seat. Your best receiver might retire and your other good receiver might get traded. It's completely wraps what they've been trying to build the last couple of seasons, and we're guaranteed to be getting something new next year. So I'm going to change my preseason grade from pretty green to ice cold. I know we have plenty of football left, but for teams like them, Saints, Jets, you know, those teams I'm already writing off and calling quits on. Now it's just a matter, do they actually finish last or just not be shit enough to finish behind the Jets? Regardless, the season's over. Ice cold. The next hot take I had for the preseason was by Freaky Borger. Edgerrin Cooper ends the year being in the Defensive Player of the Year conversation. 8 weeks in, this guy's an absolute fucking menace. Ice cold. Next hot take we had in the preseason was by Philly Nation 76. Justin Fields will be a top 15 quarterback next season. Dude, what the hell was up with the Justin Fields propaganda? Jesus Christ. This is like the 4th or 5th comment I had about Fields in the offseason. Fields will be good. Fields will be top 15. Fields will get the Jets a winning record. You'll see. Just damn. 8 weeks in though, I can guarantee you, nobody is screaming this one at the top of their lungs. Top 15. This motherfucker will be lucky to even scrape top 25. I just wonder what was the thought process behind some of these comments. Like, what did Fields actually do to get this praise? or just the fact that the Jets don't know how to make any quarterback work. It's hell on earth for any quarterback to land in, and you thought a troublesome quarterback like Justin Fields, who struggled the last 2 teams he went, is gonna come in here and magically turn it all around. Just wow. I'm still gonna grade this one hot as hell. And honestly, it still is probably one of the dumbest things I've read all week long. From the offseason to now, nothing's changed and Fields is still incredibly ass. Hot as hell. Next hot take came from Bryce Wright 3015. Jaguars win the division. Man, would you be in for a surprise if I told you 2 months back that the Colts would have this division in a headlock? And the thing is, it's not even close anymore. I mean, you could say it is, but the Colts record blows everybody out of the water, and well, you know, let's keep it honest, everybody else in this division sucks dick. Like, the only way I see this happening is that the Jaguars win out, spoiler alert, they ain't doing shit, and the Colts collapse around week 9 and after, spoiler alert, this also ain't happening. This is not happening. Jags are 4-3. They had a good chance until they started to play like the Jags we know and lose 2 in a row, go from 4-1 with a strong symbolic win against the Chiefs, to 4-3 with higher chances of being third behind the Texans, who also seriously blow, than they do overlapping the Colts for the division. No team in the South really has a chance. It's Indianapolis 1, Texans and Jags fighting to see who comes up the runner-up, and then you just have the Titans. They're just there. They are beyond fucking cooked. So yeah, that's the division pretty much summed up. I'd normally say there's plenty of football left to be played, so there's always a possibility, but the way the Colts look, not a chance in hell. They hold the best record here in the division and in the entire NFL at the moment. So this hot take gets dragged down from pretty green to hot as hell. The next hot take I got in the preseason was by AP. Aaron Rodgers has a bounce back season, but Steelers go 10-7. 7 games in, Rodgers has nearly 1,500 passing yards, 16 touchdowns, and 5 picks, averaging around 200 yards a game with a 68% completion percentage. Last year, 7 games in, he had around 1,600 passing yards as well, with 10 touchdowns and 7 picks. So you can certainly say he's doing much better than what we saw last year around this time. I can't say it's completely a bounce back, but we still have more than half of the season to go. But his mid-season checkup is pretty damn solid. I think for what Pittsburgh was expecting, he's delivering on it very well. I mean, they know, we all know, this isn't MVP Rodgers, but he still is Aaron Rodgers, and time from time again, he'll show you he still has it. I mean, whatever he's shown him, it clearly is enough if they're asking for the guy to come back after this season. Shit's crazy. Now, for the Steelers going 10-7, right now at the moment, 7 games in, they're 4-3. 4-3 and first in the AFC North. To go 10-7, they'd have to win 6 more, which looking at their schedule after Week 8's loss against the Packers, it looks kind of tough as hell, I won't lie. They pretty much run through an absolute gauntlet from Week 9 to Week 18 with about 2 or 3 games to make it easier. They definitely beat Miami, they beat Cleveland, and I do believe they get Cincinnati this time. I say possibly they beat Chicago. Offensively, I think they can get the job done. They show they have what it takes to hang with most teams, but the defense is what worries me when they go up against teams like Chargers, Colts, Buffalo, Baltimore with a healthy Lamar, Detroit. Teams like these, I do not trust the Steelers defense to hold back. They made Joe Flacco look elite. What's to stop Goff from torching the secondary? What's to stop Josh Allen? What's to stop Justin Herbert and even Caleb Williams? So unless this defense steps the fuck up, I don't favor their odds at all on half of the schedule. I might either be horribly wrong or about to watch Pittsburgh collapse on itself in the second half of the year. That and Tomlin might actually get fired if that happens at the end of the season. But it is also Pittsburgh, so you know, like death and taxes, them getting 9 to 10 wins is pretty much inevitable. So this should be interesting to see how the rest of the schedule plays out. But I will be changing my preseason grade from pretty green to mildly hot. The next hot take I got in the preseason comes from my boy Simulord. Detroit has a massive crash back to earth, going 10-7 and just missing the playoffs due to a stacked NFC North, taking 3 playoff spots. Yes, that means Chicago makes the playoffs. Tua Tagovailoa finally suffers a career-ending concussion in week 2. A bittersweet victory for a Patriots team that gets all the way to the conference title game after feasting on Miami, the Jets, and an always weak AFC South in the regular season. And finally, Washington defeats Denver in the Super Bowl. It might be a long come, but as usual, I got you. Let's do a quick checkup and let's see how it's going section by section. Detroit goes 10-7, missing the playoffs because of stacked NFC North, taking 3 of the spots. 8 weeks in, they're second place in the NFC North with a 5-2 record. Odds are there's a chance to go 10-7, but they're very, very slim. Besides the Packers and my Chiefs, they pretty much steamroll everybody else, and based on the rest of their schedule, Minnesota, that's a win. Washington, that's a win. Philadelphia, up for debate. New York, that's a win. Green Bay, up for debate. Dallas, they win. Rams, up for debate. Pittsburgh, they beat, and to end it, Minnesota, Chicago, they are going to rip them apart. So counting that up, without the games I mentioned that can go either way, they ended up with 12 wins, going over the amount you predicted. So unless Detroit has an absolute meltdown on the second half of their schedule, I highly doubt they finish exactly at 10 or anywhere below it. Changing my preseason grade from mildly hot to hot as hell. Cause, well, let's be honest, they're a scary ass team to face. They could beat you on defense. They could beat you through the air. They could beat you on the run. I mean, they could beat you a million ways. Abuse is still abuse. They're a tough ass team, and they're probably gonna ride into the playoffs easily as the 3rd or 4th seed. Now, take number 2. Tua suffers a career-ending concussion in week 2, and Patriots make it to the conference title game. Well, I hate to break news to you, but Tua did not, in fact, suffer a career-ending concussion, but he is fucking stupid, so I suppose you could count that. Not to mention, he also has a swollen eye, so while he hasn't gotten his annual concussion, the way he's playing right now is sort of career-ending, because nobody's going to want to pay to have this turnover machine playing quarterback for their team. People are finally seeing what the quarterback, as soft as he is on the field and in the locker room, you just can't win. So you're pretty spot on with this take. I'm giving half of the question pretty green. Now we turn to the Patriots making it to the AFC Championship game. Now, I ain't no fortune teller, because if I was, I wouldn't be a YouTuber. But if you asked me in the preseason, I would have said not likely, and they still got a lot of work to do. 8 weeks in, and my God, my eyes cannot believe what I'm seeing. I thought with Brady gone, the Patriots' reign in the AFC would be done for a damn good while. Not 5 years. We've had 5 years of silence from New England, and then Drake May's presence was blessed upon everybody, and now they're suddenly really good again. And when I say really good, I'm talking the number 2 seed at the moment. Yeah, New England's back. I said in the first hot take video they possibly could sneak into playoffs. Now it seems they're gonna walk in there standing tall, full of confidence. So I'm gonna change that grade from hot as hell to pretty green. I think they have just about as good of a chance as any other top seed in the playoffs of making the title game. Sure, their defense is questionable, but the offense says they can fight with you until the clock hits 0. We saw it with Buffalo, and it shows me they're capable of the upsets. I'm giving that pretty green. And then finally, Washington defeats Denver in the Super Bowl. Hot as hell. Not for the Denver part, but there is no fucking way in hell Washington makes a Super Bowl, let alone the goddamn playoffs. This team is beat up, full of injuries, and even when healthy, the defense can't buy a stop, and the O-line can't protect Daniels. In the preseason, I would have assumed, like many others, they'd be a top seed around week 7. Week 8, they're right at the bottom with the Vikings and Cardinals. It's unfortunate, but that's just the game of football. The playoffs, maybe, just maybe, if injuries could fuck off this team for the rest of the year. But with the way it looks so far, I can't say I see them putting it all together late and sneaking in. Giving this take hot as hell. Next hot take comes from Beast Boy 9088. Tennessee Titans will win 10 games this year and win 2 playoff games. This dude really said Titans win 10 games this year. This is as bad as the other guy said the Jets were gonna have a winning record. Where the hell do you people come from with these takes? They haven't had a 10-win record since Tannehill. But a rookie, of course, a rookie is going to come to one of the bottom barrel teams of the entire NFL and change that. Right. 8 weeks in, and it sure as hell is not happening. They have 1 win. 1. And it was handed to them because Arizona's running back has the IQ of a raisin. Realistically, though, they should have 0. They're not competitive unless your team is just as bad. Receiving room is mediocre. Run game took a step back. O-line is horrible, and the defense doesn't stand a chance. You said this team right here was getting 10 wins. Should have said 5 and been a little more reasonable, but 10? Then you had the audacity to add 2 playoff wins in the same sentence. The fuck is wrong with you? I mean, out of all the words in the English language, you managed to put these all together and said post comment. Just what the hell? I mean, you definitely lived up to what I was asking for when I had this video on mine. So for as bad as the comment is, it's what I was looking for. Just like in the preseason, 8 weeks later, my mind doesn't change. This comment is hot as hell, and it's still as dumb as I remember it being. Then he also said Cam Ward will throw under 10 interceptions. Also 8 games in, and he's only had 2 games this year where he hasn't thrown a pick. And I hate to break the news to you, but with more than half of a season to go, if he's averaging a pick a game, well, you do the math. He's going over 10 most likely. Changing my preseason grade from pretty green to hot as hell. And then your third comment was Travis Hunter will be one of the worst starting cornerbacks this season. So in the offseason, I answered this one as I didn't know what the Jaguars were going to do with the guy, But 8 weeks into the year, and it's kind of what I suspected. He's a starting receiver, but he's not a starting cornerback. He'll rotate every now and then, but is limited on defense. So to answer your question, kind of had to give it ice cold. But at the same time, I mean, how could you really grade it? He's not even a starter, as your take states. So yeah, I'm just gonna give it ice cold. Next hot take came from TG Star 4. Dak, at his best, is a top 5 quarterback. You know, a lot of people are going to disagree with this take and say it's a real hot one. I somewhat agree. Like, I think we can meet somewhere in the middle with this one, you know, only because you say at his best. 8 weeks in, he's thrown for 2,000 yards, 16 touchdowns, and 5 picks. And not to mention also leads in QBR. So in other words, he basically put the sorry-ass team on his back because this defense is atrocious at times. How, and I mean how, they let Rico Dowdle put 200 on their asses beyond my knowledge. Not to mention making Caleb Williams look elite that 1 week, not holding back the Packers and allowing them to tie when Prescott played out of his damn mind to put them in a winning position numerous times. And then not to mention completely getting ripped apart by Denver last week. At times, they'll get the big plays, but it is too damn inconsistent and shouldn't be something week by week where I'm like, unless Prescott throws for 300 and 3 touchdowns, they're losing this game by double digits. Dak's had his moments, but he's been far from the problem this year, so I can't say he's at his best right now, but he's playing lights out on a weekly basis. So when I say we could meet in the middle, I'm talking top 10s minimum. I don't think he goes beyond top 5 when you take into consideration the guys like Stafford, Mayfield, Herbert, Goff. You can even say Darnold and the way they've been playing this year. But I also don't think he falls any lower than top 10. He's somewhere around this range just because if he was a top 5 quarterback at his best, he'd be a quarterback I could take for every situation. Guy still can't win in the playoffs, he can't win the big games against the elite defenses, and will still have performances like he did against Denver or Chicago. That, and there are plenty of other quarterbacks right now, as I just said, in the top 5 or 10, that I believe will do about the same, if not any better, with what he's been given. I like Dak as a quarterback, I really do. I don't think he gets the flowers he deserves, mainly just because the star on his head, but top 5 is really one you have to sit there and argue, because you can make a lot of great points, but I just believe there's better players who are way more worthy of that top 5 spot when they're also at their best. Giving this take pretty green. And that will do it, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for watching another Random Recap. I wanted to do something different, and I figured since it's mid-season, you know, why not be an interesting video and look back at the hot takes y'all gave me in the offseason. Some of them aged fine, some of them aged horribly, and some of them just straight up never happened. So yeah, it's been a pretty interesting season so far, to say the least. A lot of unexpected things have happened. Just look at the Colts. My God, what the hell is happening? But anyways, with all that being said, I really hope y'all did enjoy the video. I know I sure enjoyed making it. And yeah, I will see you on the next Random Recap.